Luxury watches are often synonymous with timeless elegance. From their mirror-like finish to their precisely designed dials, these watches exude sophistication, quality and style. But today, makers of these high-end timepieces are facing a crisis. Demand for these prized possessions is plummeting, and the hardest hit are those from Switzerland. The country is one of the largest producers of luxury watches in the world. Swiss watchmakers are struggling as demand for luxury watches have nosedived. Recently, Switzerland's watch industry revealed its export data for September 2024. Data from the Federation of the Swiss Watch Industry showed that their watch exports declined by over 12% last month. And this is not all. Data shows a consistent drop in Swiss watch exports since 2023. This decline is concerning for the luxury watch industry, since Switzerland is a major producer of high-value watches. The average price of a Swiss watch is around $1,500, while watches from China, which is the largest producer in terms of quantity, costs an average of $5. The Central European nation is also the home to some of the most famous watch brands like Rolex, Swatch and Patek Philippe. What is behind this fall? According to the Federation of the Swiss Watch Industry, the sharp decline in demand was seen in two key markets, China and Hong Kong, 50% and 34% respectively. While demand also declined in the UK and Singapore, they were not as bad as the Chinese market. Let's try to find out why. Like every other sector, the downturn in 2020 was due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Exports for Swiss watches dropped by over 21%. However, this sector saw a rebound in 2021 as post-pandemic demand surged. The year 2021 brought a 31% surge in exports for the Swiss watch manufacturers. Demand remained strong in the next year as well. And last year, in 2023, Swiss watch exports rose by over 7.5% to $30 billion. However, it was evident that demand had started to cool down. By December 2023, the exports of Swiss watches continued to decline further. It failed to pick up even this year. In fact, the decline only became steeper. Data shows a record fall in June and September 2024. The slump in demand this year has hit some key firms, like the Swatch Group. It owns some of the biggest brands like Longines, Omega, Breguet and Tissot, among others. In the first 6 months of 2024, the firm saw its sales decline by over 14%. What was surprising was that sales in other parts of the world remained at 2023 levels. But in China, they dropped to a record low. Luxury brands Breguet, Blancpain and Omega were hit hard by the slump. Richemont Group, the other Swiss giant which owns Cartier, JLC, IWC and Vacheron, also saw its sales go down by 1% between April and June 2024. The firm's watch division saw a 13% fall in sales. Again, it was the Chinese market that hurt it the most. While some other firms like Rolex, Patek Philippe, Audemars Piguet or Richard Mille don't publish their sales data frequently since they're not listed on the stock market, analysts say they too are facing similar headwinds. Especially Rolex, which dominates the Swiss market with a 30% market share. The firm sold a record $11 billion worth of watches for the first time last year. However, now its boss has raised alarms. In an interview, head of Rolex, Jean-Frédéric Dufour, said that he expects watch sales to decline by as much as 15%. Not just Swiss brands, but top brands from other countries are also facing headwinds. France's LVMH saw its watch sales decline by 5% in the first 6 months of this year. The French giant owns watch brands like Bulgari, Tag Heuer, Hublot, Tiffany and Zenith. The reason? China. Again, a slowing demand in China contributed to the sales decline. The situation for the Swiss watchmakers is getting so bad that some of them have resorted to furloughs. Sowind Group, which owns brands like Girard-Perregaux and Ulysse Nardin, recently said that it will send about 320 workers on leave without pay. But why did the Chinese market slump hit the industry so hard? Data shows that in the last few years, Chinese consumers have become the key driving force of the luxury market, including watches. Wealthy Chinese consumers, who once saw luxury watches as symbols of status and success, are now scaling back their spending. Experts say this is due to a combination of economic headwinds, including a sluggish post-pandemic recovery and weak consumer confidence.
China, as I mentioned in my opening remarks, we have a slight downward revision for its 2024 growth compared to our July projections to 4.8%. And that's a revision that's coming largely due to a weaker second quarter of the year. And that's weaker second quarter of the year is reflecting continued decline in confidence in the household and corporate sector, and also the continued problems in the property sector in China.
It's not just the economic slowdown that's to blame. Experts also point to the Chinese government's crackdown on displays of wealth. Earlier this year, a few prominent Chinese influencers were banned from social media. They were known for flaunting their high-end luxury lifestyle. Some linked this move to the luxury shame seen in America during the Great Depression. Meanwhile, faced with this dramatic downturn, Swiss watchmakers are scrambling to find a solution. Some suggest they should turn to new markets. Experts say Swiss brands could try to tap into regions with growing middle classes and a rising demand for luxury goods. 1% report by Deloitte said that India could be one such place. But in the meantime, the watch industry is grappling with excess inventory, price cuts and reduced consumer interest. As 2024 comes to a close, the industry's fate remains uncertain. Once the kings of the luxury market, Swiss watchmakers now face a difficult journey ahead.
Firstpost decodes the U.S. election, explains how America chooses its president, your primer on the race to the White House, everything you need to know about how America votes and its global implications. U.S. Election Explained, every Monday and Thursday only on Firstpost.